Hello everyone, so this is a video of my interaction with Paras Gupta, one of our GMAT intensive students. He scored a 745 on the GMAT Focus Edition, which is a 100th percentile score. While he does talk about how he studied, what really helped him to improve in terms of verbal, quant, data insights, and those things, what I'd also like you to focus on in this video are the personality traits which I believe really helped him as well. His bias towards action, his patience, his ability to understand why he felt anxiety while taking tests, and how he overcame that. So those behavioral aspects also, I believe, played an extremely important role in Paras getting the score that he did. This is a fairly long video, but I do think that all of you who are preparing for the GMAT, this will be a helpful video. Hope you enjoyed.
Hello everyone, my name is Anish and I have today with me Paras Gupta. Paras was a student of GMAT Intensive. He recently appeared for the GMAT, the Focus Edition, and got a 745. So Paras, congratulations once again for your impressive score.
Thank you, sir.
To start off, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Okay, so I have been preparing for these management admission tests in general, more specifically for CAT, since for past few years. But I was more focused towards CAT, and this year itself I started preparing, and I decided that I'd be also giving GMAT primarily for ISB admissions. I didn't have anything in mind about going to abroad, and I joined GMAT intensive in around March, and I gave my exam in December, on December 28th, and I think that's it.
Got it. Thanks. We'll obviously talk more about your GMAT and your aptitude test preparation journey. What's your education background, Paras? Are you working currently?
So I did my bachelor's in technology from IIT Roorkee. I graduated in 2020, and since 2021, I've been working at a prop trading firm by the name of Futures First here in Gurgaon. And I recently left that job, and yeah, that's it.
Got it. And one thing I know about Paras that we talked about earlier, Paras is a regular meditator. One thing him and I both have, we've both tried the Vipassana course also, and you do practice meditation, some other technique regularly as well. So how helpful would you say your meditation has been in your preparation journey, Paras?
Meditation, I'd say that has not just helped me in my preparation for any exam, but also in my overall life. So as I told you that I was in the trading industry, I used to trade. I used to be a trader, day trader. So you might be knowing that it's a little bit of a stressful job. So, and that did have an impact on me, and that's why I got into meditation. That's why I started with it. And since I have started meditation, that is the point in time when I was able to stay calm and stay focused, which is very essential during your preparation for any exam. So I would say in that way, it helped me a lot to give those long hours, long seating hours for preparation. That's very important, I think. Meditation, I'd say that has not just helped me in my preparation for any exam, but also in my overall life. So as I told you that I was in the trading.
And you said stay calm. So you prepared for CAT earlier. You said for many years. So did you appear for CAT while you were in engineering as well, or did you start after that?
I actually appeared for CAT once when I was in engineering in 2019. I gave CAT 2019, and then I gave it in 2022, and then finally I gave it in CAT 2023.
Right. So then what? And I take it that you didn't get the scores you were looking for or the admissions you were looking for. That's why you continued to take the test, right? Is that fair?
Yes. Actually, it's quite an interesting thing that while I gave my CAT 2019, I hadn't studied a lot for it, and yet I gave it, and I scored a 97 percentile. that year. And again, the same thing happened. I again scored 97 percentile in 2022 when I gave my CAT, and again without a lot of preparation. This time I had given it like my 100%, I'd say, and yet I don't know what happened. It's also said that this CAT was the toughest in the past 5 years, but in terms of percentile, that should be irrelevant. But yet I got a percentile that was lower than that 97 mark. So that was a little counterintuitive for me as well, and a little hard to digest. But anyhow, few days after my CAT, like roughly around exactly 1 month, I gave my GMAT and the score was pretty good, way above my own expectations. So that made up for the whole year, I'd say.
So to be clear, we're talking about November 2023 and December 2023, correct? November, you took the CAT, in which your score was lower than your past, or your percentile score was lower. And then in December 2023, you took the GMAT.
Right. That's correct.
So interesting. So then that lower score, did that not, or how big an impact did that have? Did you not feel like giving up the whole thing? How were you able to then still take this test after pretty much just a month? What was that like?
Actually, what happened was that the score or the result was just a number. When I came back from the exam, I actually knew that how my paper went, and the results are not going to be good. So that day, I tried to introspect that what had actually happened. Because when you give your 100% in something, and the results don't show up, you are bound to introspect, because you would think that I gave my 100%. This doesn't make sense. From there, the journey of introspection begins. So I did introspect, and one thing that I noticed was that during the exam, I wasn't able to maintain my temperament. As soon as the first question popped up on the screen, I went haywire. I went into a rush, and when you're in a rush, it's a little difficult to be reading and comprehend. So whatever the reasons were, but I realized that was the main element because of which I couldn't really score well. So, and I then reasoned that why that was there. So I came up with the answer that I didn't prepare myself for failure. I had prepared myself so much in all the three subjects that I was so confident that I will be able to score. Do so many questions very accurately. And you also know while you are doing the reading comprehension question that what is your level of understanding of this question and what is your level of confidence when you're marking that answer. So I knew somewhere that my confidence is roughly 50-60%, where it should have been 80-90%, which I was expecting. So I was spending more time on the questions that were coming next. So what I'm trying to say is that I prepared so hard for success. The moment I could see failure coming towards my side, I just shattered completely. So that's the point I made, and I have a board right here with me, and that's the same day I came back and I wrote on my board that prepare for success and for failure both. So that is something that really actually helped me in my GMAT journey, in getting a good score.
This is really interesting for me, Paras. You said about you figured out, for example, that you were not comprehending properly, right? You figured those things out. But the point before that, you said that when you give your 100% and you still don't get there, then the next thing you do is you introspect. Now, I must tell you, that's not true for everyone. Many people, and perhaps myself included many times in my life, many people give up at that point. Oh, I've already given my 100%. Even then I couldn't get there. Now I can't do anything more. So for you to even come back and introspect, let me try to understand what went wrong. And then for you to be able to process and figure out, oh, what was the reason behind the stress? What was the reason behind my not being able to understand things properly? Right? This whole fear of failure, as you pointed out. That's really impressive, Paras. And it goes to show that from one stressful test to another stressful test, in a difference of just 1 month, perhaps the difference in the core skills would not have been that significant.
Definitely.
Difference in
Definitely.
terms of how good you were in quant and verbal, that would not have changed that drastically. So perhaps it was these other things that really helped you. So let's talk more about GMAT specifically now. So when did you start preparing for the GMAT?
So I decided and started my journey as well. I was like in my job, and I was kind of in a hurry to take a decision and get going. So the day I decided, like it was back in March 2023 when I decided that I will go for GMAT, and that's also the time around which I went with like you guys. So I uh, decided and started my journey as well. I was like in my job,
So I
went
want
for
to
the
understand
GMAT
this.
intensive course.
So one day you thought, okay, fine, I can't just keep waiting for CAT, or I can't just keep all my eggs in one basket. Let me think about GMAT also. And then what? Within a day or two, you had enrolled in the course, is it?
Right, right. So actually, my thinking was that, as you mentioned, not to be keeping all my eggs in the same basket. My thinking was just to have that backup in my mind of a good GMAT score,
Hmm.
because I had already decided that this is going to be the last. This is going to be my last CAT attempt,
Hmm.
because this thing was going on and on for years, and it was kind of frustrating me, and I felt like I'm not moving ahead in life.
Hmm.
So I had decided the deadline for myself,
Hmm.
and that's why I decided that let's give GMAT. Let's develop a safety net for myself for having the right mindset during my CAT exam.
Hmm.
So that's how I decided to give GMAT. And yeah, also since I was a trader at that time, I had that, I told you now that my mind was very rushy, hasty.
Hmm.
So I decided the same day that I will give GMAT. I went on to LinkedIn, searched for some GMAT coaches, found you guys. You were near to my location and everything. I felt, and I saw your scores as well. So that was, uh, a kind of stamp, you can say, or authenticity, a mark of authenticity. It was. So I opted for you guys.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that was it.
One thing, let me clarify that while physically maybe we are close, but actually we've only conducted sessions online, right? So even your
Yes.
course content consumption was online only.
Yeah.
But actually, you used a kind of a negative term, right? You said it was rushy, and because of that mindset of trading floor, you took that quick decision, and right? It sounded as though you kind of defending it. But the way I see it, that's a big positive trait again, Paras. Sure, maybe, I mean, I don't know what that ideal timeline is, how many days you should spend on evaluating courses and deciding. But I find so many people in this rut of just evaluating the best step to take and actually not even taking the first step for days, weeks, even months. Right? So for you to just in one day decide and take a step, I mean, what's the worst that could have happened? Maybe it wasn't the best step, right? Maybe the course wouldn't have been good for you. And then maybe you would have realized that a few weeks down the line, and then maybe you could have joined some other course or figured some other solution out. But that action you took, I see it as a big positive trait, Paras. Impressive. So, all right. So you started in March. I take it your anyway, perhaps your starting level already was significantly high, since CAT and GMAT do have significant overlap in terms of the underlying skills. You had scored 97th percentile in the CAT already in the past. So what was it like to then get into this GMAT after your CAT journey?
Uh, so what I had heard from people was that the maths portion of GMAT is not that hard. So all you got to focus on is the English section. So that's what I did, and like it did help me actually, that I only prepared for the maths for CAT exam, and that is the preparation that I went into the exam with, my GMAT exam.
For quant, you didn't really need to do much more after what you'd
Right.
already done for CAT. And what about verbal?
For verbal, I definitely needed the GMAT material and GMAT resources. I'd actually, I would actually say that whatever reading comprehension skills that I've acquired, they have only come from the GMAT intensive course that I've taken. Like, you guys started from with the very basics And I mean, I still remember the entire process. Initially, the first lecture was about quantities, like the words sum and at least, and all those words, what they exactly refer to. So yeah, I mean, for English, GMAT preparation, and especially GMAT intensive, is the only thing I would say that has actually helped me make any kind of progress in my reading and overall English abilities. For verbal, I definitely needed the GMAT material and GMAT resources. I'd actually, I would actually say that whatever reading comprehension skills that I've acquired.
So this is now something that actually Chiranjeev and I sometimes wonder, Paras. And I'm assuming that even your verbal level was at a certain decent level. For you to score a 97th percentile in CAT, you would have got decent percentiles in all the sections. Is that fair, first of all?
Yeah, I would say that.
Hmm?
But gaining that confidence, like my methods were more intuitive.
Right. Yeah.
Before.
Right. So then did you not feel with that initial reading skills portion specifically that the course is starting with some things that are too basic for you that are already clear to you? Was that the case with you?
As a first thought, I did feel that, yeah, these things, I don't know how relevant they are on the GMAT exam. I didn't exactly know the paper structure or anything. So I just went on with the course in a linear manner. I didn't see a lot about how the exam is structured and anything. So, yeah, at the beginning there was this thought, but then again, since I didn't know anything about the exam structure, I thought maybe it might be of some relevance or anything. It might be of like huge significance in GMAT specifically. They might ask there might be some direct questions about that those things. Yeah, but then I went on. So.
And then in hindsight, do you feel that you got value from that, or do you feel that no, that was not needed for me?
No, definitely that basic clarity is actually very, very essential in order to form a cohesive understanding of what's written. Like, because when you're doing these questions, when you're reading specifically for these competitive exams, what you have to do is you basically have to read it analytically, completely analytically. So that initial understanding about sum and all those words, the quantifiers basically, is very important in reading something analytically.
Got it. Right. So those of you who maybe don't know about the course structure, I'll just mention quickly, Paras. Basically, we start with reading skills, which starts with understanding some basic words, sentences, simple sentences, and then paragraphs and passages. Basically, how to read, how to understand an individual statement, and how to read and understand a paragraph and a passage. So Paras is talking about the starting point of those things. So now you started your preparation in March, and then given that, so what was your study routine like? Were you able to take out time regularly, or was it on and off? What were those 8-9 months like?
To be very honest, while I was doing my preparation alongside my job, I couldn't actually do it regularly. But yeah, I would say that in a week I would be giving somewhere around roughly 5-6 hours maybe to the GMAT intensive course itself. To be very honest, while I was doing my preparation after I left my job in October, I was able to significantly increase the amount of time that I was spending in studying. Yeah.
So March through October, it was roughly 5-6 hours a week on average, would you say?
Yes. Nothing more than that. Yeah, after I left my job in October, I was able to.
So then were you able to cover a significant proportion in those months, March through October?
So what I had covered in those months was actually the critical reasoning section and the reading comprehension section. And luckily, the GMAT Focus Edition came in and like it cut off the sentence correction portion. which was not done by me. So that was there. And maths, I had already handled by myself. So what I did was, alongside doing the coursework, I also used to give mock tests for CAT. So through that, I was able to really be in that practice of doing these questions and everything. Yeah. मतलब उसी के through फिर practice भी सारी हो जाती है ना,
Right.
when you give that exam. Although आपके number of hours remain less because आपने 1-2 घंटे का टेस्ट दिया, but then वो practice में आपका रहता है.
So you were able to implement, for example, the reading skills, things you learned in verbal here. You
Yeah,
were
definitely.
CAT also.
Definitely.
So one more question, Paras. So you started in March. So then did you have any idea of how long GMAT prep should take you when you were starting? Had anyone given you any suggestions like that?
Actually, yeah, everyone around me used to tell me that yeah, GMAT तो फटाफट से निपटा 2-3 महीने में, and then focus, मतलब put your entire focus on working on CAT.
And were these people
That
who had taken the GMAT themselves in 2-3 months?
no, actually they were also just like me, enrolling for GMAT courses and were about to give the exam, preparing for it actually. Had not given it before.
So quite surprising, no? Right? Where this notion then comes from, which is such a prevalent notion that GMAT should take just roughly 3 months, maybe 4 months, not more than that. So did you not
actually
like that then, after you'd been already preparing for much more than 4 months?
Yes, I actually did feel like a lot of self-doubt when I had started preparing in March, and around 2-3 months had gone by. I did feel like, man, everyone says it's a 2 or 3 month thing. Why are you taking so long and you're still not even halfway there? Maths तो तूने देखा भी नहीं है, at least देख तो ले, भले ही मतलब even if you're confident, you have to see what it is on the paper, just in case anything different is there. So yeah, that was there, but I kept my journey, I kept myself on track, just thinking that it's okay. Some people, like everyone has their own pace. I kept telling myself that.
Yeah.
But actually, if you think that, then 6 months is at least you should give 6 months. And I'm talking only about English, not even considering how good you are at math.
Also, I mean, one mistake even I have made many times is that I quantify GMAT prep in terms of months. But for two individuals, 1 month may not be the same. You were, for example, studying 5 to 6 hours in a week, right? Someone else.
Right.
And then in October, when you left your job, you would have been able to devote much more time, perhaps that much time you were devoting per day, maybe, or close to that anyway, right? So anyway, then that 1 month would become significantly different from a month in which you were working and you had a very hectic job and all that. But often we don't bring that into our calculation. Often we just think in terms of months. Oh, I've already been prepared for X months. Yeah. Beyond that, though, obviously, it's also about a matter of the quality of time. It's not just about how many hours you're spending, but how much you're learning in the time that you're spending on the
Exactly. Very important.
And also, I mean, you highlight that you did not let that thought of, oh, I've already spent so long. You didn't let that thought overpower you, right? You still stayed on track. You still continued preparing, which is not easy to do. Obviously, you've talked a little bit about the reading skills and all that. But yeah, if you could maybe talk a bit more about what you found helpful and what benefited you in this journey.
As you mentioned, that I did have certain skills in terms of my verbal abilities, as I got a decent score in CAT or whatever. But that was not in a systematic manner. That was not a process that I would feel confident about going into the exam. That was just very intuitive. And I would say also there might have been a role of luck in that. Because I can't say, I don't know that. So when I joined a GMAT intensive, you guys broke it down into different parts, different steps that we need to follow, such as in the beginning you read it in an untimed way, any passage in an untimed way, and read it with as much time as you want to take. and you made us walk through with, like, you did the questions in the similar way as you preach, and that was really helpful. So all those steps are really critical, and I would say initially you feel that they're very time taking, but then they make your reading ability so robust and so uh, systematic that you feel really confident that yes, whatever question comes my way, even if I don't really understand one word or two in the passage, because I never really worked upon vocabulary separately. Whatever words came along the way in the while I was preparing in the normal questions, critical reasoning or reading comprehension question, those words I just looked up, and so yeah, there was no particular preparation for vocabulary as such from my side, but yet I was very confident because I had learned this approach of going about in those questions. And I would say that the kind of approach that you guys delivered, I didn't just apply it in the reading comprehension section. I even applied it while reading the questions that were there in data insights or that were there in maths. You would have heard this a lot of times from a lot of students that in maths we make very silly mistakes while reading the questions, because of which we just and there are definitely options which you would come out as an answer with if you have read it wrong. So you know, the entire process was so robust that I was so confident. And as I said, that I just registered for the exam 4 days, 4 days before the exam. I mean, I just took a 4 day window between registering and actually giving the exam, which I think, now that I look back, I think that confidence is coming from there only. That yeah, I have the system, I have the processes which work really well. As you mentioned, that I did have certain skills in terms of my verbal abilities, as I got a decent score in CAT or whatever. But that was not in a systematic manner. That was not a process that I would feel confident about going into the exam. That was just very intuitive. And I would say also there might have been a role of luck in that. Because I can't say, I don't know that. So when I joined a GMAT intensive, you guys broke it down into different parts, different steps that we need to follow, such as in the beginning you read it in an untimed way.
So did you need to work on speed separately, or as your reading got more robust, you yourself got faster?
Interestingly, I noticed that, so I also joined on a particular classes. I mean, I took some online material for CAT specifically, and I saw their English lectures, and so their approach was essentially of skimming through, just reading a few words on every line, and like going really fast, how you can go fast about reading. Their approach was entirely based on how faster you can go in your reading. So it really didn't resonate with me, so I cut that. I mean, I didn't watch their videos or watch their lectures for the English part. For English part, I did GMAT intensive only, even for my CAT. So my point is that while I kept on doing questions based upon the approach that you guys provided, I noticed that whenever I wanted to read fast, I mean, not in terms of the questions that I was practicing, but in general in my life, let's say I'm reading a blog on the internet and I want to find a particular information or anything like that, even the newspaper. So whenever I wanted to read fast, I was able to read fast, really, really fast. Why? Because my approach towards reading had become so robust that I was able to, skim naturally. But it was very organic. Interestingly, I noticed that, so I also joined on a particular classes. I mean, I took some online material for CAT specifically, and I saw their English lectures, and so their approach was essentially of skimming through, just reading a few words.
So you mentioned you booked the test 4 days before. Okay, what was that like? Why such a short notice? What was going on in December?
So as I told, my CAT didn't go as I expected. So luckily, the college SPJN, SPJIMR accepts both the CAT score as well as the GMAT score. However, they had this one particular condition that your GMAT score must be in the year 2023.
Hmm.
You must have taken the GMAT in 2023. So CAT didn't go well, so I didn't have a lot of choices. So even one college like that became a significant prospect for me. I had to save like each and every college that I could possibly target. So because of that, essentially, I booked the GMAT. Booked the GMAT early.
Tell me about your mock scores. We've spoken about this earlier.
Okay, so it was a Saturday when I booked my exam for the upcoming Thursday, which was 28th December. So on Saturday, I booked my exam in the morning, and the same day, I gave my first GMAT mock. So I purchased basically the official mock test 3 and 4. 1 and 2 you get for free, and I purchased 3 and 4 for extra $30 because I wanted the mocks to be, official and as accurate as it can be. So I gave my first mock, and by that time even I didn't really know about one particular thing on GMAT, that they have a negative marking for the question. Like there's a penalty for not attempting the entire paper. I mean, if you don't have enough time and you end up leaving a few questions on any particular section, then there's a penalty on that. So I ended up scoring 595 in the first exam that I took.
This was on the Saturday, was it? Or when was this exam?
This was on Saturday.
Okay, all right.
Then on Sunday, I skipped. I didn't give an exam. I had some family relatives coming. And then on Monday, when I gave my exam, knowing that there's a penalty, so I had my strategy a little bit tweaked that, okay, I will just roughly give some answers to the last few questions if at all need arrives. So I gave the exam, and you can understand that the skill level cannot change in 2 days so rapidly. And I ended up the exam, and the score flashed, and it was 725.
From 595 to 725, technically in 2 days, huh?
Right. So I thought to myself that, wait a minute, isn't that like a very good score on the GMAT Focus Edition? I mean, yeah, it was a very good score, and it was above my expectations itself. So I did feel good, but still, a person feels that maybe it came by luck or anything. Maybe the questions were more related to my strengths or anything. And then I again gave my exam the very next day, mock test 3 on Tuesday. And in that also I happened to get a score of 735. So then I felt a kind of a confidence that, yeah, my approach is right. That's when I got the approval that, yeah, my approach towards the exam has been right, and I will get a good score. That 595, it was clear to me that 595 was not relevant. These two are the scores which are actually relevant to me. Then comes the day before exam, the Wednesday. So I again gave my final mock test, and in this one, I don't know what happened, but I had the same approach and no major changes, and I ended up scoring a 675. So this now my expectations had risen from my own self. So had it been earlier, before the 725 and 735, I would have been happy, decently happy that, yeah, it's a good score. It's supposed to be the equivalent of around 720, 730 on the GMAT regular edition. So I would have thought that it's a good score, but now my expectations had risen. So, and that's the day when the same lesson that I got after my CAT exam struck my head that, okay, yeah, you need to be grounded. This happened because you needed to get that lesson back again in your head. Anything can happen. And then I went into the exam thinking exactly this, that anything can happen. Be ready to accept whatever score comes, and be ready to move on and continue your hustle, continue your fight, or whatever. I mean, look forward, don't look back. Whatever happens, happens. So with that mindset only, I went into the exam, and the rest is history. Okay, so it was a Saturday when I booked my exam for the upcoming Thursday, which was 28th December. So on Saturday, I booked my exam in the morning, and the same day, I gave my first GMAT mock. So I purchased basically the official mock test 3 and 4. 1 and 2 you get for free, and I purchased 3 and 4 for extra $30. because I wanted the mocks to be, official and as accurate as it can be. So I gave my first mock, and by that time, even I didn't really know about one particular thing on GMAT, that they have a negative marking for the question. Like there's a penalty for not attempting the entire paper. I mean, if you don't have enough time and you end up leaving a few questions on any particular section, then there's a penalty on that. So I ended up scoring 595 in the first exam that I took.
This was on the Saturday, was it? Or when was this
This
exam?
was on Saturday.
Okay, all right. The Wednesday 675, would you say that actually helped you?
Yes, definitely, it helped me.
You already
helped
talked
me.
about how it brought back the same lesson and it grounded you. What would have been the other side? What, let's say you got another 735. Then, I mean, obviously it's all hypothetical and speculation then, but would it be fair to then think that perhaps then that lesson would not have, you wouldn't have become that consciously aware of the lesson, and you wouldn't have reminded yourself that consciously of the lesson?
Definitely. So I would like to tell this through my story of CAT. So what happened in CAT was that in CAT also I had the same approach, that I was giving mocks throughout the last week before the CAT exam. So on 26th November there was this final CAT exam, and on 24th November I gave the actual CAT 2018 exam as a mock test at home, like with all the rigor and I mean all the discipline that's required to give a test. Everything I followed, and I actually ended up scoring, I mean, beyond 99 and near about 99.5 percentile. I mean, I checked my score and I checked the score versus percentile for that particular year, that slot of exam, and I ended up scoring that much. So I think that would give a good description about what would have happened if I had actually scored a 735 or 745. I mean, I truly believe that would have been the case, that I would have been overconfident, and the moment I would have felt that no, it is not going to happen, you didn't understand that question, because you get the idea, right, when you are attempting those questions, that your level of confidence is actually. So the moment I would have felt that way, I would have really screwed up my exam. So what happened in CAT was that in CAT also I had the same approach, that I was giving mocks throughout the last week before the CAT exam. So on 26th November there was this final CAT exam, and on 24th November I gave the actual CAT 2018 exam.
That's an incredible story, Paras. I mean, I've had many experiences myself also in life, and I've seen many times with students, we can build up this GMAT attempt to be that end all be all, right? That attempt just needs to be the first and the last and the final thing, right? Nothing should come between me and that high GMAT score on that day.
Yes.
Right? And we build it up so much that end of the day we become anxious about it, and actually, like you said, that fear of failure can in fact even cripple us, right? And it can crash the whole test for us so many times. Whereas perhaps, as you've exhibited, a better approach can be to be more relaxed about it, right? What's the worst that can happen? Worst case, I don't get a good score, then I need to continue preparing, right? Worst case, I don't get an admission into a B school this year. Even that won't be the end of life, right? It's not a do or die thing. And while I think theoretically everyone thinks of it the same way, but I find that many people in fact try to push themselves further by kind of reminding themselves that no, think of it as a do or die thing, and then you'll work harder towards it.
Yeah.
Not realizing the side effects of such thought process, which you've highlighted. So I really appreciate that. So what's next for you, Paras, then? What geographies are you targeting for your MBA?
Primarily, I'm looking into the US space, and that's mainly because first, most of the best ranked universities are over there, and I mean it's the land of opportunities, and yeah, I mean if I think about a place to go for, if I have to reside over there, I mean I have to make a life out in that place, I would choose US only. So those are some reasons because of which I'm thinking of going for US. Primarily, I'm looking into the US space, And that's mainly because most of the
Perhaps a personal question, but did this GMAT score influence what kind of schools you're targeting at all? Did that change MBA plans at all, or no?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, initially I hadn't thought about going abroad for my studies. Uh, Firstly, because I thought that it's expensive, and secondly, because I mean, I didn't really know a lot about the GMAT exam. I'd always focused on the CAT exam. So I'd always heard that 700 plus is really good score, 700 plus is really good, and all that. But so, and I didn't expect that I would be able to score that much. So that's why I mean I hadn't got my own hopes up at any point. So yeah, when the score arrived, I mean, and I told my like family, and I told them that it's equivalent of 100 percentile. So they and I both were like extremely joyous and ecstatic about it, and they all like encouraged me that I mean you're like the topper, so if not you, then who would the universities select? So I mean, of course, they don't really know the entire process that GMAT has. Only I mean 25-30% relevance or whatever it is for different universities. But yeah, those things that they said did make me feel that yeah, okay, I can also do it. So yeah, that's how the score actually changed things for me. Yeah, definitely. I mean, initially I hadn't thought about going abroad for my studies. Uh, Firstly, because I thought that it's expensive, and secondly, because I mean, I didn't really know a lot about the GMAT exam. I'd always focused on the CAT exam. So
Excellent. Well, Paras, it's been an amazing conversation with you. I mean, definitely nuggets that I will try to learn and again maybe I already know, but make myself more consciously aware of things like being clear about fear of failure and taking action and many other such things. I'm sure the students who listen to this conversation will also find these things beneficial. All the very best for your future endeavors. I'm sure you'll continue applying these lessons that you've learned here, and therefore
definitely.
I'm sure you'll continue getting success in future as well. All the very best, Paras. Thanks for
Thank you, sir.
your conversation.